welcome to this podcast. This is the third, is that right, Stephen, in our series?
It is indeed.
Okay, so first podcast, what we looked at, what subjects?
We've done spirituality and
Spirituality, yeah. Second podcast, we looked at
ghosts and trying to get into light.
Ghosts and ghoulies and heading towards light. And this podcast, the third one, is going to be about proof. Yeah. This idea of physical proof. Now, I find it really interesting that, very few. Certainly, my idea of mainstream religions offer you really any kind of proof. It's based on belief, isn't it? It's based on faith. Yet, what appears to be interesting about the sort of spiritualist church and maybe the spiritual movement in general is that it appears to be offering or suggesting some kind of proof of the next life, of an afterlife, and that in itself is fascinating and hugely appealing, I suppose, even to skeptics. This idea that somehow that you could prove it. Tell me about that.
Well, it's a very, very interesting point. Proof. What is proof to somebody? Now, one has to be realistic. Now, we have all got to take that smallest of steps from this life because we're only here for a period of time. And really, it's like I'd say, it's a drop in the divine ocean. So imagine all the oceans of this world, or the deserts. You could be a drop within that. You could be one grain of sand. And so our lives may appear to be insignificant, but in actual fact, we play a part within a greater mechanism. And that mechanism is because in this world we look at things singularly dimensional, rather than the spirit world we see it in multi-dimensional. So we see more. It's almost like you have a wider panoramic vision. Somebody said to me, do the people in the spirit world have eyes at the back of the head? Well, no, certainly they don't. But there again, we have the use of all the senses, which allows us. So when we talk about proof, what we're talking about is the continuity of life. And so all spiritual mediums and perhaps psychics or people who work in a similar field to us are always exploring avenues to show that there is a continuity of life. Like life has a reason. Because without, I suppose, if you had the mainstream religion who look at purely of faith, and I've got great respect for people who, when you think through the history, that there are people who have given their lives, particularly look at the medieval times of Great Britain or the Middle Ages, where people have given their lives to be tortured, burnt at stakes, like Joan of Arc and various other people we can talk about, purely on a book and on a faith. Now, in spiritualism, people are looking, and I was at a meeting last night, and so perhaps somebody who didn't get a message might say, well, we've got somebody else on next week and we'll get a message. So it's almost like getting a weekly fix, and it can become a little bit where they devalue it. And I think sometimes the expectation. So what happens is that the medium will give certain information, and to a point, it depends where that fits within the person's own perceptions and parameters of their own understanding. Because you can say to people, this is, give them everything, and then they still can't actually accept it. So I think that proof is an individual thing. I've seen, I've been aware, I've felt, I've talked, I've been inspired, my physical life has been saved on quite a few occasions. And I've gone to people and given them most wonderful information. And I think that what that does then, it opens a process for them to take the cobwebs of the mind away, to clear the looms of the mind and allow them to further themselves in their own personal knowledge, which aspires to the proof that their loved ones are away. Some people have come to me and sit there with their arms folded saying, you give me proof. Well, why? We have to work for it as well. So proof can be many things.
You're kind of suggesting then that it's a personal proof kind of mechanism, because I suppose people have tested mediumship, tried to test it tried to analyse it under a kind of laboratory conditions, and they would argue that it's not stood up to a scientific rigour. I suppose the counter argument to that is lack of a proof isn't proof of lack of something lacking, is it? I suppose. So, where do you sit on this sort of scientific testing, kind of debate or point about what you do or the gift that you've got.
Well, look, there's a man, I think his name's Randy or something, and he's going to give everybody a lot of money.
Yeah, there's £1 million if
Yeah.
anybody can, the first person who can prove that there is an afterlife or that you have any sense of connection with it.
That's right. Well, my view to that is, well, keep your £1 million or whatever it was, because I don't really need it anyway. But my view is this, is that he can do what he wants. And I've seen some of the tests which were on television. But at the end of the day, we'll all pass on. We're a physical body, but within that, with the physical body, is the soul and the spiritual part. So we move on, and some people don't. He really, should be thanking people like me, because we've kept him in a living, and most likely a very good living for many years. In actual fact,
professional skeptic.
Yeah, let's face it, the easiest thing in the world to say I don't believe. The hard thing is to go out like we do, and many people, countless people do, to prove that there is survival. And over the years, I've had people come and, every spiritual medium's the same. We'll all pick information up which could absolute proof, and I've done it. But each of us have picked up a piece, so we put it together. It's a tapestry of life. We all put a piece together, and you get information, all sorts of information where people come. I pick up a father, a certain operation that they had, a certain stuff that you could not possibly know. You've seen me take public meetings where I'll go to somebody right at the back and say you have got a verruca on your left foot and it's near the right toe.
Yeah.
How could I know that? I've never met the person before. They've got shoes on, they're sitting 200 yards away.
As a skeptic looking in, having spent some time with you, it is fascinating that there is a specificity. There's a specificness to what you do. Yeah, thank you very much. I had to rehearse that for a little while. But there is a specificness to kind of some of the stuff that you come out with. What would you say to the people who say, well, can you get Aaron Browns of this world who'll say that actually what you're doing is a kind of Victorian, kind of peer show, for want of a better expression, and you're either using plants or you're familiar with that knowledge, or particularly a lot of the interest is in this idea that somehow you can cold read. You can use leading questions that will ascertain certain information.
But on the platform, I don't have a conversation like that. I say the platform, I said where we work, and I'll give information to somebody who I've never met, and they open up. They don't tell me anything. I don't know them. So there's no way I would know any information about them. People come to my home, or I've been to groups, and you pick up information, and maybe a child that's passed or certain things. I said to a lady the other week, she came to see me, and I said, I'm very, very sorry I've picked up your grandfather, your grandmother. I've not picked up anything about your mother and father. She said, I'm really pleased. They're not dead.
I think we should have another podcast at some point about the earliest days of the spiritualist church movement, because it was originally based on some phenomena surrounding some sisters, wasn't it?
The Fox sisters, yes.
Who were later sort of debunked as, making up the whole kind of table wrapping thing and the tapping and all that kind of thing.
Well, I saw that. That's why I led to me to Jack Corbett, because I went to a place and does anybody there move the table once to the left or once to the right? I've seen that. I don't want that. There is far greater things. And as I say, some of the information, about the war. For example, when I went over to California, I'm in front of a full house of people, never met them before, and you see it on the website what people have said. There was somebody who didn't like me, but there again, as sad as it is, we want to please everybody.
That was probably the rude jokes, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, it wasn't particularly rude, but I do like to enjoy them. You see, I believe life's here to be enjoyed, and we should enjoy it. And in the next world, I've only met people and seen people who are happy and they're smiling. And somebody said to me, a question through Spiritualist Resources, what's Elvis doing? And Sarah thought I wouldn't answer it. And I said, well, he's most likely singing with that wonderful gift he's got. He's enjoying himself. And saying, thank God.
I'm going to say, if there's no fun and there's no sex either, I'm not bothering going. Cause
No, you better stay here forever.
It sounds a bit dull, doesn't it?
I used to think as a child, wouldn't it be great to be Superman? You could read everybody's thoughts. How terrible! Imagine what they're thinking about you. And to live forever, I don't want to live forever. You have time, but I suppose I will live through my immortality in the next world. Now, people either believe it or not, but my teacher used to say, when he was on the battlefields in the Second World War, he said that people used to call him Spirit Joe, because he'd say what he did. He said, and he'd have all these Liverpool Irishmen coming to him, East Lancs Regiment, and they were saying to him, Tell us, Spirit Joe, what's it like in that world? It's amazing that nobody believes in God, but if the bombs start falling, we suddenly believe. And Jack used to say he'd see people who were blown up, and they'd walk out of it, and there'd be a spirit and spiritual people around them to welcome them home. And that's where we're going. We're going home. And that is the proof. Now, if you don't believe, as Mr. whatever he is in America, Mr. Randy Gandy or whatever his name is, I don't know what his name is. He's something. He's called something or other. I don't know him. But one thing is, he doesn't believe what we do. But one thing that I can assure him that I don't believe any true spiritualist, when they go into the world of light and when he's welcomed home, nobody will say you were wrong. Because really, we need
you're there to slam the door in his face.
No, because we need something to push us, to make us work harder. We need something to extend our parameters, because we can't sit on our laurels. We must always work, and if we work, and we all put a little bit in together, and then it's all plain. That's why I find that we're only brushstrokes on a great canvas, and the great canvas one day will be seen as a masterpiece.
Proof, then, it's a personal thing.
Well, we give information.
We're never really going to find definitive proof. Question.
You find it within yourself. The key to all things is within yourself. We give them. Shall I say to somebody everything? You say, well, yeah, but he could have read that in the paper. How? I don't know you. I go to places like California, Scotland. I go over to Spain. You sit there with people in Turkey, talking to her, and I was talking about eastern part of what was eastern part of Germany, and I was talking about Jewish people and whatever, and about a plot of land, and I didn't know, but she was Jewish, and her grandfather sadly was to leave this life in a concentration camp, but he left a plot of land in what was eastern Germany, which is part of Germany. How would I guess that? In the middle of nowhere, never met the person before, and so we all do that, and we get little pieces. So we say together, collectively, we give proof, but at the end of the day, I could give you money, but you don't have to accept it. So really, you have to accept it yourself.
How much have you got in mind?
20 pence.
I accept. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you very much.